I'd like to talk to you about your beginning of class routine. If you're a teacher who enjoys using technology as an instructional tool, it's important that you establish clear routines for the beginning of your class period. This will eliminate a lot of common questions your students will want to ask at the beginning of the hour and encourage them to prepare for the start of class, which is going to set you up for success in that day as well. Now, these recommendations are applicable K-12. I do have some special suggestions for my elementary teacher friends, which we'll get into in a minute. But even middle and high school teachers, I don't want you to overlook the start of your class and how you prepare for the class period. Um, a lot of these tips are recorded on the blog post that you see on the screen. I'll put the link to this blog post in the description for this video. But kind of my thesis for this video and all of what I'm about to share with you is, we're wasting a lot of valuable class time in giving students the same instructions every day. Starting class, the students aren't prepared. We're getting the devices in and out of carts. We're waiting for students to log in. All of that infrastructure type stuff must be done, but there's a way that we can organize and optimize our classrooms so that we're not taking away from instructional time when those things occur. So a few tips. The first thing that I would encourage you to do is to adopt some kind of a signal in your classroom that specifies if you want students to have a device out during that class period. Easy way to do this would be to just have kind of a laminated picture of a Chromebook or something that you're going to hang up on your chalkboard or whiteboard at the front of the room. If students see that symbol, that means, hey, you need a Chromebook, please get it out. If you're in a one-to-one program, maybe that means, get it out of your backpack, make sure you have it out of your locker, things like that. If you're in a cart-based program, that means, hey, we need Chromebooks today, please go get one out of the Chromebook cart. So that's the first thing that I would recommend. Now, the second thing, especially if you are in a cart-based program, what I would recommend is trying to push the Chromebook cart to the back of your classroom, or at least not right in the doorway. Because what typically happens is teachers will put the cart right in the doorway, and then you get a traffic jam as students are entering. They're also trying to balance their book, their homework, the snack that they're eating, and then grab a Chromebook as well. This is where a lot of damage occurs. Chromebooks get dropped, they get yanked out of the cart, and the power cords get broken. And so what I would do is put the cart in the back of the room, have students go to their seat, put their things down, and then go get their device and pull it out. Now, if you are a middle or high school student, or teacher, and you plan on using Chromebooks throughout the day during your different class periods, I would encourage your first hour students to get the devices out of the cart. And then at the end of the first hour, just have them leave the devices at their desk for the second hour students to use. Your last hour of the day, those students will put the device back into the cart. Most of the damage and wear and tear on devices occur as we're putting them in and out of carts. And so if you can minimize that, you'll save time and also reduce the wear and tear on your devices. So you've got the Chromebooks out. The Chromebooks are at the desk, and now you want students to sign in. Now, this is where I have a few different tips for you. Now, usernames and passwords are super annoying. I as an adult, I agree as well. But the reality is that remembering how to log in to a device is the 21st century version of bring a pencil to class. It's just something we have to do. We should help students develop that skill, especially at the elementary ages. Teach it, give them an opportunity to practice it. But at some point, it's just, this is what we do. You got to get with it, and you gotta do this on a daily basis. And that's just the reality of life. Trying to use devices without logins, using it generically. Yes, you can. It's not optimal at all. In the blog post that I'll link to, I talk a little more about this. Using it generically really is not optimal. Some elementary teachers want to set up a class account where every kid is logging into the same username and password. That is okay, but not great. I really want to encourage every student to have an individual login that they can use. This allows much greater personalization for their learning, allows you to send them messages and create assignments for individuals, not just the class as a whole. It also allows you to keep them much more accountable. So students have to remember their username and password. Now, I have some tips, some suggestions on making this a little bit easier. In the blog post, certainly would recommend creating some type of a login card like you see here on the screen. And to assist you with that, I've actually created a little system using Google Sheets and Autocrat where you can automatically generate a card like this for every student in your class. You just have to know their first name, last name, email address, and password, and you can generate a card like that. So that's in the blog post. I'll let you check that out. Especially elementary teachers, you're going to get the most value out of that. Now, I want to talk for a minute about what I call the Class Login Challenge or the Login Olympics. This is something that I would recommend even middle and high school teachers considering. At the middle and high school level, you kind of have to laugh this off as kind of a silly activity, but you really do want to practice it. It's amazing. Students of all ages can struggle entering username and password. So again, we're trying to build routines and set expectations for the beginning of the class period. I'm going to open up a overview of this login challenge. You can get this and print it out if you'd like your own copy of it. So the class login challenge is what I want you to do is get your students into their class, get out the Chromebooks, have them sit at their desk with a Chromebook in front of them, and tell the students that we're going to have a challenge to determine how long it takes every student in the class to sign in to your Chromebook or your device. So you're going to say, ready, set, go. Students will open up the Chromebook, sign in, and when everyone's done, you say stop, and you're going to write that time on your chalkboard, whiteboard at the front of the room. Kind of write it up in the corner real high up there. Now, if you have the time, I would say, okay, everybody log off. We're going to do it again. Now, you should see an enormous improvement from the first to the second time. That time's going to get cut in half probably. So you'll practice a second, as many times as you can. And then each day, you're going to say the same thing. Say, we want to see how long it takes every single student to get signed in to their device. The ultimate goal is each day you are trying to beat the previous day's time, ultimately getting down where everybody is signed in 60 seconds or less. You can adjust that time, based on what you think your students can handle, but that's the goal. Really, the true goal is for everybody to be signed in by the time the bell rings and class officially begins. That's really what we're going for. Now, you may want to incentivize this and say, hey, once we accomplish this goal, there's something, some kind of prize. I would not do this as an individual reward because I don't care if you can log in 5 seconds. I need everyone in the class to be logged in. If you can log in quickly, then help someone who is struggling, assist them in getting logged in. That's the general idea behind the class login challenge. The idea, again, is to focus on this login process and not just login, but also entering the classroom, putting your things down, getting your device, logging in, and then being prepared for the class period. Now, middle and high school teachers, I'm going to add an additional element to this. Once your students are signed in, I'm going to encourage you to direct them where to go. Okay, so all right, they got the Chromebook, they got signed in. Now what? If you don't give them something to do, they're just going to go to ESPN or Amazon or coolgames.com or whatever they choose. So in most instances, you're going to want to direct students to go to your learning management system, whether that's Google Classroom or Schoology or Moodle or Canvas, whatever it is. So say you come in, you get your device, you log in, you go to Google Classroom. Once you're in Classroom, you'll see the agenda for the day, the instructions for the day. Now, this is the tricky part. If you establish this routine, you are making a commitment as a teacher to make sure that you are posting that daily agenda or those instructions into Google Classroom. If a student goes to Google Classroom and they don't see something for that class period, then you'll be like, oh, the teacher doesn't even post anything there. And it's going to break the entire system. And so you have to discipline yourself to making sure that the assignments, the agenda is posted there. I like to begin my class with kind of a warm-up bell ringer activity. So if you're a math teacher, maybe you'll post a question in Google Classroom that says, what did you think about problem 6 in last night's homework? Which was the hardest problem from last night's homework? What was the answer to question 12? Something along those lines. And at the beginning of class, you can, read those responses and engage with your students a little bit. Again, the idea here is we're trying to save our instructional time by pushing a lot of this administrative login, setup, get the device out stuff in the passing time so that when the bell rings, you're ready to go. Once attendance is taken, everybody's signed in, they're in Google Classroom, and you can post your first lesson.